bitch, I have my hair the way I want it. I wasn't looking for you to straighten it.
Welcome to Just Trust Me, the marketing podcast that asks the all-important question of why, dear God, why? I'm Rachel Moore, your producer and co-host of the podcast, along with Elizabeth Allen and Tanya Ballard-Brown. With our savvy for content marketing, digital marketing, and journalism, we dissect and discuss where we should or shouldn't trust the marketing we see every day. Today, we venture into the world of Reesa Teesa, addictions to Instacart, how to write headlines, and Wendy's weird venture into dynamic search pricing. However, go Google that one because things may have changed since we recorded the podcast. Okay, let's go.
We're talking marketing and everything. So I had groceries delivered a couple of times, once or twice pre-pandemic. And then during pandemic, I started having the groceries delivered. Instacart did a very good job of selling me on their services. And then I started doing curbside, and I haven't gone back, but I'm about to go back. I haven't gone back because Instacart gave me some kind of deal where I had $20. I mean, I still had to pay $20 for the annual membership. And so I was like, oh, okay. you know? And so I had groceries delivered as often as possible because I was going to get everything I could out of that $19 membership.
Yep.
And it just expired like a month ago. Actually, it just expired not even a month ago. It expired last week. So moving forward, I will be back to curbside because I had stopped doing the curbside pickup. But even when I started doing curbside, that used to be, because we were still a little bit on lockdown, that was like my weekly outing. Like my get out of the
Yes.
house, a
Yeah.
place to go, thing to do. And me and my little dog would pull up, and I put the top back. They put the groceries in, we put the top up. Again, we drive through the drive-through. If I looked very closely, which I refused to do at what I was spending, I'm certain that I should have just gotten up and taken my behind to the grocery store. But
You know, I have so many friends who have not moved on from the curbside pickup. They loved it. I never did it. I was the one person in my household that was doing all the grocery shopping during COVID. And honestly, like, if I'm going to Target, part of the benefit of going to Target is being able to walk in and buy all the shit you didn't actually need. So, you walk in and all you needed was paper towels, and $300 later, oh well.
And then it's all in the same receipt. So it's like, oh,
It does.
shopping trip.
It was household items.
Yeah,
It's
exactly. I do that. I sneak that in too because like sometimes I'll go to Target and then I just like go browse around and be like, and I just need to get this new eyebrow pencil.
oh, you know what else I got sold on during the pandemic? So we may have talked about this. Like pre-pandemic, I wasn't doing all of that Amazon. I used to be like, what are people doing with Amazon Prime? I'm like, what are you buying that you need a annual subscription? Blah, blah, blah. And then
you got a dog.
the pandemic happened. I needed my Charmin Ultra Soft toilet paper.
Yes. Ultra Soft. That's where it's
Right,
at.
because
only thing
that
you
is
get,
the
yeah.
exact brand that I need for my tushy. And I was like,
Same.
okay. And then I was using my then regular dates. Well, let me go back. I still use regular dates, Amazon Prime. In fact, 2 minutes ago, Amazon Prime dropped off something.
Live my life, yep.
But you guys turned me on to subscribe and save. And that, like,
I've never used it.
you got me into that. And so now my toilet paper shows up on a regular basis. My doggy treats, which is what comes every other Wednesday for my dog. I do buy the rest of her stuff at a small local shop because I want to spend money there. But they don't have these treats. And she, with her fancy, bougie, don't work anywhere ass, needs these.
Where's her money coming from is what I want to know.
these treats. And so I have them on subscribe and save. Like a few things, like vitamins, things that I know that I need all the time. It's like 5 different things. I was actually just going through the list. But I got sold on the no shipping fees. And so I'm not back in Target picking up random things. And in fact, I can't remember the last time I've been to the Target, oh, this is why, bitch, I'm rich. Because I should be saving money, right?
Y'all, you did not see our faces when she said that. Elizabeth and I are just both like really just did like a spit take almost like
My eyes were so wide.
Like,
What do
when
you mean? I was
think
at
about it, that
Target.
might be why I've had like money to do other things because I have not.
So-
I haven't been doing the Target.
Tanya, right now
When
I'm picturing like it's like that old timey music where it's in sepia tones and we can see like it's like a broken up film reel and it's Tanya just going in kind of stop motion into a Target through the double doors of the saloon. That's how long it's been, and all of us are like, we cannot relate with that right now.
Literally, if I tell you I was at Target earlier today, I was at Target on Saturday, and before that, I was at Target on like Thursday.
Well, I like a Target. I'm not anti-Target. I listen.
How dare you sully the good name of Target?
I just have
This
managed.
podcast not brought to you by Target.
And I'm
yet.
trying to because here's the thing. The last time I was in Target, it's because once my fancy bougie dog was getting her haircut, and I had dropped her off at the place to get her haircut, and I said, well, rather than go all the way back home, I'll go to this Target. I was in the Target, and I came out of there with a whole bunch of stuff, and then as I was walking out the door with all the Target stuff, I saw the Bed Bath & Beyond with the 20% off, we closing them, and I went in there, and I came out just laden down with stuff. Like suddenly I needed all these things, like, because it was on sale, and I was in there digging deep.
Is that girl math? Well, if it's on sale, so
all the things that I
20%
bought that
off.
day though have been put to use except one thing, which is my trifle dish, and I'm going to use that soon. Bought me a trifle dish, but
I think we've established you're an intentional shopper.
no, I get sucked in, but I can resist it from the home front, right? You know what I'm saying? I can resist it on the way front end versus being in the store and like, you don't need that, Tanya. Put that down. I can just say, do not go to, and I need to go because I have an idea for this costume for this party I'm going to. And so I was already like, oh gosh, I'm going to go to Target to get these parts and pieces. And my brain went to, ooh, I should get, like, I'm not even in the store and I'm already thinking of all the other things that I might get in this Target. Like, I specifically need to go for this thing, but I'm like, while I'm there, why don't I go get like a throw pillow? I don't need no throw pillow.
That's the draw of Target. It'll get you every time.
And then,
It's all right there. It looks like
some
ready.
new flip flops, and so let me see what's happening with their flip flops. So like, I'm about to be all up and through the Target, so just know.
The other day I went to Target for a mutual friend who apparently Diane von Furstenberg is going to be doing a collab with
for
Target.
real clothes? Oh my god!
Yes.
When?
So
I need the dates.
Okay, this is the when is the question. So I saw it was on the 23rd. So I thought it was the 23rd of February. So I hauled my ass over there. Again, my unemployed ass, so it really doesn't matter. Got all the way there. And right as I walked in, I was like, I'm not seeing any DVF stuff. So what's going on? And then I looked back at the announcement they did on TikTok. It was like a cute little video. And I was like, oh, 3/23 is my
Have they already previewed what the things are?
No. At least in the video I saw, they hadn't, but you might have to like Google it and see if anybody's figured it out. So yeah, so dry run. But again, I was going to Target specifically for that, clearly did not need anything beside that, and walked out like at least $60 later. So
that's fair.
Good job, me. No. I blame our mutual friend Samantha for me losing that $60.
Samantha, it's your fault.
I want it back.
But hey, I'm glad you did that because now you could tell me this. Because when you told us this the other day, you didn't tell me about the DVF part, and I have always wanted a DVF dress. During the pandemic, I was like, you only live once. I ordered one. It did not fit. This was pre my pandemic rationing, starvation plan.
The Slender Man.
It didn't fit. I was like, oh you, and I sent it back, and I have not looked again. But maybe now I can wrap one of the wraps around me, and because it's Target, it will certainly be more affordable than that dress that I had splurged for from the actual like DVF thing. I mean, that was a splurge.
This is all a long Diane von Furstenberg ad. Just FYI, our listeners.
I
This
mean,
is all this is
I like
for.
her. I mean, I like the wraps. I like that the look.
I do. It's super cute. Okay, I have a daughter that I named after a character in Gilmore Girls. So I clearly am a fan of the DVF wrap dresses. That's just like that's what she wore the entire show. So clearly I find beauty in that look. If you send me your size, I'll look for you too. And actually, right now Samantha's calling me and she doesn't know she now owes me $60.
I'm just saying, and I'm going to represent on this podcast everyone who had to just Google Diane von Furstenberg. So
Oh, the
that's
wrap. You don't
me.
remember the wrap dresses? They were like the height.
I mean, that was her signature. That she invented the wrap.
That was her
dress.
signature.
I've owned them. I just didn't really ever associate DVF or Diane with that. So yeah, I'm Googling it right now and I want to buy some because they're really cute.
Yeah.
That's
anyway,
neat.
apparently it's March 23rd, not February 23rd, if anybody's interested in heading to Target on that day.
Wait, so you're making more people be in this between me and my DVF dress.
Oh, I'm sorry. Never mind. March 24th is when they're all going to be
Well,
out.
this is where we got.
We got ourselves? How does that happen within our own podcast?
Well, that's the power of marketing. And yeah, I mean, but I just trusted you all. Now I want to go get a dress too, but I may just order one. I probably won't go shop for one. I hate shopping. I'm actually not a big fan of shopping. I don't like going. I hate malls. Is that weird? Am I weird,
No.
y'all? I just don't like
No.
malls. I avoid them like the
Because
plague.
it's crowded and there's a lot of noise and
Well, it's the kiosks, guy. I hate the kiosks where I'm like, okay, no, let me just do anything, avert my eyes, anything. Pretend I'm on a really important phone call with the president of the United States, only if he's not Donald Trump. And, and then I'm like walking by and like, hello, ma'am. And they're like squirting shit in my face. I'm like, stop it.
Busy, important things going on.
Yes.
Well, my big issue is they're so desperate to straighten my hair, those kiosk guys. I swear to God. Like, they are like, what? Why don't you want to straighten your hair? And I'm like, bitch, I have my hair the way I want it. I wasn't looking for you to straighten it. But they're so desperate to straighten my hair every time I walk past one of those guys.
I feel terrible for people who have to work at the kiosk things because
I do too. I said that to my daughter the other day. We were walking through the mall. We had like a girls' day and she wanted to go spend some like Christmas money. And she goes, you're probably glad that the kiosk guys aren't out. And I said to her, like, yes, but also like they're just trying to make buck and trying to get like pay their bills. I can't blame them, but also don't touch my fucking hair.
Don't touch me. Well, let's. What do you want to tackle first here, Elizabeth? I'm gonna let you pick. What do you think?
All right, so we have to talk about Reesa Teesa.
All right, I'm gonna sit back because I've seen the chat thread just on fire with that. I don't follow it yet. I'm about to get educated along with some other people, maybe. So continue.
Okay, so. Yeah. What was it? It was like after Valentine's Day.
Leading into Valentine's Day because her birthday was the day after Valentine's Day, and she like, I'm going to pause on that day with. Mm-hmm.
Yes, exactly. So my personal experience of this is my daughter was doing a sleepover at my in-laws' house, so she was there. And my husband was going to bring his car to be serviced. And I was like, he left. It's like 8:00 in the morning. And of course, as I always do, I'm like, what am I going to do with this time? Something productive? No, I'm going to fuck around on TikTok. So I started scrolling through TikTok. And I swear to God, the first thing I came across was Reesa Teesa, one of her videos. So then I went back and started watching them. And I'm not kidding you when I tell you, I got ready and I spent a lot of time on my hair and my makeup. I went to Target, Costco, Petco, my grocery store. I went somewhere else too. In that entire time, I was listening to her TikTok series like it was a podcast. Then I got home, unloaded all of my groceries and everything, and then spent another at least 2-3 hours listening to her podcast. There were 500, it was something like 500 minutes of her content. And luckily she was smart enough to put it in a playlist format so it would just cycle through instead of having to flip through like you do with TikTok, which is like the one downside of TikTok. So essentially, Reesa Teesa was telling the story about her narcissistic, pathological lying husband. She had met him right before COVID. They had moved in very quickly together, which happened with a lot of people. I hear those stories all the time where people didn't want to be alone, especially if people were single.
Yeah.
They didn't want to be dealing with COVID by themselves. They moved in very quickly. She has a child. Sadly, she has a miscarriage. Then she starts to figure out the longer they've been together that he is a complete fucking fraud, right? This is all people have been talking about for the last couple of weeks, which is fascinating. I have never seen a situation on social media where, first of all, it moved platforms.
Wow.
It didn't matter. It started on TikTok, but it didn't matter what platform you were on. You were hearing about Reesa Teesa's story.
Well, wait now. Because remember Zola.
Yes.
Did you follow Zola, the whole Zola thing when it unfolded on and it became a movie?
No, I don't even know what that
Oh.
is.
What is Zola? I don't either. Obviously, I'm the
Okay.
one. I don't know anything.
All right.
Are we going to circle back
We'll
to that?
circle back. I'm sorry.
Okay. No.
Because my
Now
mother would
fascinating
take a
object.
pin in that.
Put a pin in that. It was the most fascinating thing I've ever watched because it was so organic. And she, first of all, she's a great storyteller, right? So she had her ducks in a row. She knew what story she was telling. It wasn't somebody just rambling at a camera. Like, she seemed to really understand, this is the story I want to tell. And honestly, the story only takes place within like a year and a half, if that. That's the whole timeline of the story. And she had everybody mesmerized. And it was fascinating to watch virality work in that moment because some people had been watching it. I think she started the recordings and she just did, like, I was really impressed with her because instead of like dragging it out, she just banged them out within a couple of days because she's like, I don't want people to have to sit here and wait for the next thing to come because that seems like inorganic. It seems like clearly you're trying to get more views. Right. She was just like banging out these videos within, I want to say it was like 3 days that she completed the whole story. But you started to watch how viral it went. So you had a couple people of talking about it, and I like reached out to a few friends that were like, you have to listen to this. And before you knew it, literally nobody was talking about anything else. And the interesting thing about it is because it was TikTok. TikTok is a short form content platform. And I have never seen people willing to sit through 50, I want to say it was 52 videos of her content, and each of them was almost 10 minutes, the full length that you can do a TikTok. And people were actively, happily sitting through each of these videos without a problem. I think it's a testament to her storytelling. I think it's a testament to her making the decision to do them all at once instead of waiting for people, hoping like, if I drag it out, maybe I'll get some more viewers.
Right.
And as of, I want to say late last week, she's fucking verified. I want to say she had like maybe 10,000 followers by the time she started telling her story. She's now verified. BMW has said they will give her BMW X5 or whatever it's called that she talks about in the story. She has made the money to go to London and Paris, which was a part of the story. Everybody has to listen to her story. And I fully believe that, like, instead of listening to recreations and tellings of the story, you should give her the views. I really believe that. So it's at Reesa Teesa. Go to TikTok, listen to her story, give her the views. Delta reached out to her and said they will pay for her flight to London and Paris. I have never seen something so organically go viral in this way.
Wow.
And it didn't feel scripted. It didn't feel intentional. It really felt like a woman who was just trying to get this off of her chest to give herself some closure, and people flock to it.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah, I'm just
So-
Googling it right now. She's in Washington Post,
Yeah.
TMZ,
Yeah.
USA Today, Rolling Stone oh my God.
It went wild.
Okay.
I've never seen it happen so fast.
But I just want to say, because I didn't know that y'all didn't know about Zola, which happened like in 2015, and on Twitter, Actually, I dropped a link in the chat.
I did know about
Yeah.
this. This is ringing a bell. Keep
So
going.
first tweet was, okay, listen up. This story long. So I met this white bitch at Hooters. I was her waitress. She came in with this old ass, big ass black dude. And she went on, and people got caught up in that story. When I say the whole reason that we use same now is from Zola, like that, she same is from Zola. It became a movie,
Really?
which was Coleman Domingo was in, which is why when you're, I was like, I don't like him, but it's because I associate him with the character he played in that movie. And the movie was just out like a couple of years ago, but she was like in Vanity Fair, like all these people, right? So there was a blueprint for Reesa Teesa, but I doubt that she was thinking about Zola when
Right.
she did this. I don't, but though some people did, in different corners of the internet were like, once again, black women's misery is being used,
Yeah.
which that's a separate conversation from what we're talking about.
Yeah.
But again, these things are organic. It was the storytelling, it was the outrageousness of it, it was the way it
Yeah.
was both believable and outrageous. Like, did this really happen? Okay, it did. Like all of
Yeah.
the pieces and parts were there. And I think, while I don't think that she just decided, I need to get this off my chest in this story time and this TikTok. And I'm going to tell these people this thing. But it was around Valentine's Day,
Mm-hmm.
love, unrequited love,
Yeah.
heartbreak,
People who are single
heartache,
and yeah, yeah.
people jumping on apps because maybe I'll meet my love, and then you're like, okay, well, I don't know if I want to meet a legion on the apps or whatever. So I think it was just the right story at the right time, and
Yes.
she was authentic. In
Yeah.
you said this later, and I actually did pivot later, but when I jumped in, I was listening to compilations on YouTube. I didn't, because I don't have TikTok, so that's how it got to me. But then when you
Yeah.
made the comment about her getting her clicks or whatever, I did stop that and go to give her the traffic, and the views on her site. And then, I watched the lives, and then I watched one or two of Legion's things, but I don't want to support that. So after then, I just read what other people said about him. But it shows it. I think it goes right back to what we were talking about with the Elmo thing, and that you just don't
Mhm.
know what's
Yeah.
gonna hit.
Yes.
And of course, Elmo is a business, and Reesa Teesa is just a woman who met a crazy lion ass man. And I
They were
mean,
all on board. We're like, we got to know more
right? I
about
mean,
that.
because to be honest, the story actually ended. It's terrible altogether, but it still ended better than I it would,
Yes.
because he sounded crazy enough to do something. The fact that she is healthy, he didn't, like, as far as we know, that she shared, like, steal all her money, or like, there was so many
Yeah.
terrible directions this could have gone, that it didn't go. He is, I don't think he was abusive to her physically, anything like that. So I admittedly thought, oh my god, like, that's where this story is going. And I also thought it was going to end up with this man, like, in prison, like,
Right.
however, it
Yeah.
didn't go there, thank goodness. And now, she's getting roses, and some of the things that
And
were promised,
Delta.
that he promised to her, that he was never going to deliver, she's getting to
Yeah.
experience
Yep.
some of those dreams. And the one thing I hate about it, and this is not a marketing thing, but I hate that she talked about not trusting people again, and I hate
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
that, because it
Yeah.
still kind of gives him power over her. And if ever there's an exception, it would be hard to meet another legion. Like, it's got to be up from here.
Yeah.
So I hope, if she hears this, that she does not rule out, love and all that kind of stuff again, because I know that she
Yeah.
really wanted that. That's how she kind of fell into this whole thing in the first place, because we all got, look, all God's children want to be loved. I don't know who I'm trying to mimic, but you were talking about the form that the storytelling and the fact that it was on this platform and she was able to get all these people to engage and listen to these 10-minute
Yeah.
videos. And it's like it's like a serialized
Yes.
story. And I wonder now, like with the detective thing, if some marketer somewhere is not thinking about how they
Oh,
Absolutely, they are.
absolutely.
Listeners,
Yep.
you are, right? You all are.
Yeah.
Right now, you're
Don't
like,
lie. We
maybe
know what you're
taking
thinking. You're
notes.
like, how can we? And actually, I've seen that on TikTok recently. People thinking they can recreate that
Mm-hmm.
same magic. And I do wholeheartedly believe that the Reesa Teesa story is magic. I mean, it's a heartbreaking story. She should have never had to go through it. But when she decided to tell it,
Yeah.
the format she decided to tell it, and her storytelling skills, there was all of that came together and was magic for marketing. I do start to see these people on TikTok who are trying to recreate that,
Yeah.
but like, and I actually did a TikTok video where I was like, honey, you're not going to recreate that. Don't even try. That is something that has to happen organically. It can't be forced. And you are seeing these people who think there's a way that they can make that same, like there's a formula that's going on here, but there's not, because so much of the biggest part of that formula is authenticity.
Yeah.
And you can't fake authenticity. And that's, I mean, as a marketer, that's one of the hardest things is like, you can't fake authenticity. So while I would love to be able to reproduce that and recreate that, there's literally no way. And every time you try to do that in marketing, it's going to come across as insincere.
It does make me wonder, and again, getting into marketing brain, because it's like, okay, I'm not going to recreate that,
Yeah.
right? And if you do, you are lucky, right? You stumble on it. But
Yes.
it does make me wonder. So when you're talking about, you binged it. My son, he's someone who he will not watch a series until the whole series is out. One Piece is his one exception. He watches that as it comes out. But so Avatar: Last Airbender just came out on Netflix and all 8 episodes dropped. So he's on board. He's like, great, I'll go, because he wants to pummel through all of them. So from a marketing standpoint, from a delivery channel format standpoint, I'm going to be thinking about this now, because it's like serializing that content. Obviously, you talk about Zola. That was a Twitter thread. That has to be serialized because you only had so many characters. You had to make a thread as long as you needed to. And that was a super ass long thread. But we were riveted. And I felt dumb because when you first said Zola, I'm like, I don't know. And then as soon as you started talking about it, I'm like, oh my God, I read every single tweet. And then Elizabeth, you're watching 50 to 52 or whatever that is, about 10-minute long videos at a pop, but you're going from one to the other. Now, you're investing all that time. Maybe it didn't feel like it, also because of the story. The story was riveting. But I wonder if the little chunks, that just the way it's meted out, if it feels like less of an investment, like we're subconsciously not even thinking about that, because it's like, I got to go to the next one. I got to go to the next one. It's like when you read a really good book at night and you get to the end of a chapter, you're like, one more chapter, one more chapter. Thoughts on that? Because that I am just kind of like buzzing on that, saying, okay, there surely, yes, marketers, we always ruin everything, but I'm sure some of you are thinking, okay, how can I serialize my brand's content right now to do something kind of similar like that,
I am interested in that because I heard a lot of the feedback was people, when they were learning about this occurring in real time, were saying, I cannot commit to that. And that's when Tanya and I had the conversation about Tanya reading, listening to the compilations, and me being like, no, you should just listen to her actual content because it's so good and she describes it so well. Also, again, I want her to get the views. As a marketer myself, I know that's important. But there were a lot of people who were like, I cannot possibly commit to that. So I think there's a weird fine line we're running there when it's like, okay, like there are 2 types of commitment. I'm committing to something where I know for the rest of my fucking day, that's all I'm doing, which is what I did on that Saturday. Which my entire life that Saturday was watching Reesa Teesa. Or I'm committing to months of this story where I'm breaking it out and I'm waiting for each thing. I think the issue with breaking it out in that way, where it's over time, things are going to grab somebody else's attention within that time. So say you wait 3 days to post the next part of the story, even a day to post the next part of the story. We know that attention is so expensive right now. So you could possibly be like, this is all I care about right now. But by tomorrow morning, something else could be grabbing your attention. So you have to be really careful about that. And so while I think there are people who are going to refuse to commit to 500 minutes of TikTok videos, the majority of the people were happy and felt seen that instead of just meeting them out within like, a 2-month time span, I can just have them, they're out there and I can watch them when I want to watch them and I can catch up. But also I know that the content I'm seeing on the rest of TikTok will kind of give me a little update about what's going on. I can't tell you how many times I've been like super invested in something and literally something else caught my attention for 12 seconds and then it was gone. I did not.
Same.
Yep.
Same.
Yep. Squirrel. Exactly.
I will say when I came to it, I did not know it was 52 whatever.
Yeah.
Because the thing I was watching had compiled it into separate, like it was like 1 to 5. I wasn't staring at the screen or anything. I was listening while I did, because she's storytelling, so I don't need to stare at her.
No. Yeah.
It was playing along as I did other things. So I wonder if those of us who came before we knew it was 52 parts, if that's part of it too. Because I gotta tell you,
Yeah.
if you had told me ahead of time it was 52 parts, I'd probably been like, well, somebody give me the cliffs, because I would not have committed to that. I would not have. So there you
See,
go.
I knew it was 52 parts and I was so sad when I was at like 48. And listen, when I was at like part 48, I wanted to cry because I knew it was about 52 parts and I didn't want it to be over. So some of us
No, but that's real too.
have a different brain.
Nobody wants the book to end or the series
Nobody
to
wants,
end.
yes.
It's like End of the Lord of the Rings, like it's over.
And
That's
that
a great
goes back to the quality of the content, the sincerity. She was able to pull those of us who, before the message of it's 52 10-minute TikToks, hit those of us. So by the time we had heard enough of the story that we're like, okay, I'm in now. Like
You're in.
I need to know how this all resolves itself. And if it's how many more? 48. Oh, 50. Oh, 50. Like at that point, okay, I'm in. And I'm just listening anyway, right? It didn't feel like any great cost to me in that moment. I
Yeah.
didn't feel, because I wasn't so captive that I was neglecting other things, because again, I think I was like doing laundry or what, like I was, you know what I was doing? I was baking that cake I ended up not eating.
Oh, that made me so sad,
Right?
Tanya. I was like, because I really, when you brought that up, I was hankering for dessert and we had nothing. And I'm like, I would eat your cake right now. Came out wrong. That came out wrong.
Do you guys want me to leave you alone right now?
And I said, well, I'll give it to the little, I shouldn't call them little boys, the young men next door. They tend to eat my sweet
That's helpful.
treats and baked goods that I'm unable to. Yeah, that could have gone a whole different direction. The sweet treats that I bake and make.
Is that what you call it, Tanya?
These could be my children. They're babies. They're young men. I can ping them and like, I have cake, and they just show it. They're like, before you even hit the send button, they're already at the door.
I feel like with every word you say, it's not getting better.
Like, the
You keep
hole is
trying.
digging deeper. Get your shovel out. It's like,
Well, that's what I was doing as I listened to her. And I mean, I will say, and there was, as someone who is divorced, and I did some dating. I'm not currently dating now because Jeffrey Wright, I'm waiting for you, baby.
We've let him know. We let him know. I
Always.
need to tag him.
But
Yes.
I mean, I'm not actively trying to date right now, but you did a little dating in the past, and you want to approach it with hope. You know what I'm saying? With hope And you hope
Yeah.
that that the
Yeah.
person on the other side of this equation is just as sincere as you are about
Mhm.
wanting love and all that kind of stuff or whatever. I mean,
Mm.
I know you two married ladies have been out of the mix for a while, but the scene is different out here.
I don't wanna.
No,
I don't wanna.
that's the thing. As a married lady, listening to that, I could feel
Mhm.
the hope and the desperation to be in a relationship where somebody is just genuine, and you could tell, like, and also so much of her story, it was just like an issue with systemic, like,
Mm.
not poverty, she's not in poverty, but like systemic issues with, like, it's so hard to afford to live right now,
Yeah.
right?
I'm Gen X and I don't have children, and that's probably the only thing that that puts me slightly ahead of the game. If I were millennial and had graduated into the Great Recession, I mean, I
I
feel
wouldn't have
terrible for
kids.
a lot of people that graduate the millennial and Gen Z with like the school loans and all housing costs and I mean, a lot of it's just luck of the draw. It's just
It really
you
is.
Mhm.
know
And that's what so much of her story was. Just one, first of all, she was a very faith-based person, so
Mm.
in her head she
a
wanted
provider,
that dream,
Yeah.
she
provider.
wanted a husband, a family, and she wanted them in a certain, you know, way. So she wanted to make sure that, like, you have a husband first and then you have a kid, and that was a whole issue for her, and she gets into that. But yeah, also the fact that, not only is it hard to live, it's so expensive to live right now, but this was it was right before COVID. So, and I do remember, I saw in one of her lives, she talked about how she really doesn't think this could have happened the way it did if it weren't for COVID,
Yeah.
because so many people were so desperate, especially like people who lived on their own, to be like, I'm gonna have to isolate by myself
Yeah.
for who knows how long.
That's real.
And
Meanwhile,
Mm.
yeah, it's real. Yeah. And
meanwhile, I'm
it,
like,
like,
I can stay at home by myself.
we we know
But you
you.
know
We
what?
knew, we were
But
worried about
we
you.
That's
just
the best
had that
time of
whole
my life.
conversation about how, in hindsight, I was not coping well. So I told having a partner and somebody to hold, your hand through what the unknown of the pandemic was at that time. Because the whole world shut down. The whole world shut
Yeah.
down,
Yeah.
and if I don't know about other people, but it scared the shit out of me. Like the world
It
shut
was
down. The
scary.
world.
The world. And the funny thing is that, like, a lot of single people don't realize that married people or partnered people were having the same issues.
We
Like, it
were.
was just as, like, yeah, I mean, personally for me, I think it actually strengthened our relationship, but I know plenty of people where they're like, I fucking hate you and I never want to see you another day
Yeah, a
in my
lot of
No.
life.
marriages did
Well,
not survive.
So, like,
Right.
a lot of shit
Mhm.
came out in
yeah.
marriages and in relationships that would not have come out if you weren't forced to be staring at this person every
Exactly.
day, 24/7. So it was tough on both ends, but I can totally understand why somebody would be like, I'm going to, like, fast forward this relationship because I don't want to be sitting in my house by myself. I don't know how long this is going to be for. It could be like 3 years, who the fuck
It's
knows?
survival mode at that
And
Yeah.
point. Yeah.
exactly. So I can totally understand her kind of fast forwarding through that, because that's the thing that when you listen to her story, so much of it is like how short of a time period that accommodated.
Yeah.
Like, it was
It was 2
so
weeks.
short.
So I will say that she should not have left her house without Googling this man. Lesson learned. Lesson learned.
Yeah, I know.
Move on.
Especially because she worked in law
Right,
enforcement. Girlie, what are you
lesson
doing?
learned. But let's move on. But I also can get, if you have been single for a minute and you are, you're ready for love and ready to be loved, and then she had this flat tire, and he quote unquote rescued her, and
He
Yeah.
paid
paid
for
for
the
the tire.
tire, like, and
They
before their
still
first
went to
date.
dinner. They talked and talked and talked and
Yeah.
talked. Like it all in for a
Yeah.
normal, not crazy, pathological liar guy. This could have been the dream. Like it just would. Like we
Yeah.
just connected. I can hear you. It sounds like what everybody wants to happen. We clicked
Yeah,
immediately. He he wanted all the things I wanted.
I
If
know.
he hadn't been crazy, maybe they'd be married and have the kid. And because I he's crazy though.
Yeah.
I
That's the
mean,
thing. You hear those stories all the time, especially if you're looking for love. You hear those stories about a switch just flips and you have this person who's just like perfect for you.
Right.
She even says in the thing, she goes, I thought maybe it was my
right,
turn. And that like, oh my God, I
Oh,
will,
right.
my eyes are watering
that's
up saying that.
me
I thought
too.
that maybe it was finally my turn.
Mhm.
And
Oh,
I'm like, I can totally understand
well, who
how you would
can't?
ignore some red flags when you're so desperate for maybe this is my
Mhm.
turn. And especially because I think she's in her 40s and, clearly wants a family.
Yeah.
And so you get to that point and it's not desperation,
No,
but like part of it is just like hoping that maybe this again is my
it's
turn
a
and you're going
finally.
to ignore a lot of
Finally.
Mhm.
things.
Yeah. I mean, and like again, you go back, how relatable is that?
Mhm.
How many people
Oh,
watching that and going through that, even if they weren't in exactly the same place she was,
yeah,
we
yeah, yeah, yeah.
have
And
been.
all
I think
this
all
Yeah.
of
was
us have been.
happening. All this storytelling was happening around Valentine's Day, where people were
Valentine's Day and happening real time.
reflecting.
So people were getting so
Mhm,
Oh,
invested.
mhm,
absolutely.
Yeah. I will say as a marketer, I think I'm fascinated that it happened on a platform like TikTok
Yeah.
as opposed to YouTube
Yeah.
or a podcast because attention is so expensive, especially on an app like TikTok. Like it's so hard to get people to watch anything more than 60 seconds,
mhm.
right?
Hmm.
And the fact that she was able to do that and people were so riveted
Here's
and
a
I do think there are some
I was
takeaways
about
from
to
that. Like I do
ask
think that
you.
yeah, I think one of the big takeaways is don't meet that story out for months and months. If you get it out quickly, people will like it. But also, a lot of it, like not sadly for a marketer, is just in the authenticity of it, which you again can't recreate.
Yeah.
Like, I don't see this happening again. And I know people are so desperate. There are people sitting in marketing teams all over the country who are like, how the fuck can we figure this out?
Hmm.
There's got to be a formula. There's no formula. That was just a perfect storm of
Yeah.
storytelling, timing, format that
Yeah.
just worked so perfect. You can't recreate that.
Well, here's a question because when I say I'm not on TikTok, I mean I have an account. My fancy bougie dog has an account. But I actively try
Always.
not to go over there because you can get sucked in. So I just actively, just like I actively don't go to the Target. I just try to.
You have better impulse control than I do, apparently,
But
for all
so,
things.
well, that's what I'm gonna ask. So was she able to monetize that? That's the question I
Hmm.
have for you, assuming that you might know because you just know more about TikTok.
You can speak to that. In my Google resultishness, I did see people were like, she got suspended or something off TikTok.
I don't think so.
I saw, oh, maybe it said TikTok Daily
She
Mail.
got verified within
Reesa
like
Teesa is
days.
banned from TikTok Creator Fund, earning $0 for the next. I don't even know if that's real. I'm literally reading Google results,
Mm.
which, as we know, is being delivered up by AI these days.
Mm.
So,
Something where it was like doing the math about just the series itself, and they were doing the math. And this is if she was in the creator fund from the very start. I hope to God she was, because that would be my luck. Is
How
that
do
I
you
wouldn't be
get
in the
in the
creator fund.
creator?
I would start
Hmm.
something viral. You have to like apply for it. You have to have a certain
I think
number of
it's
followers.
10,000 likes and 1,000 followers or
Yeah,
something like, or
Okay.
more,
yeah.
something like that.
I'll never be in the creator.
If she was in the creator fund from the very beginning, which again, I hope to God she was, I think just from the series itself, it was about 300,000 from what I heard. But it's hard because TikTok, first of all, TikTok payments suck. Like the ROI on TikTok is bullshit compared to like YouTube. Part of me wishes she had told it on another app so she would have gotten more coin, but also it might not have done the same thing it
Yeah.
did. But also we know that like monetization doesn't just come down to how much cash the app is paying you. It came down to BMW sending her the fucking
right.
car. She's going to London and Paris. Delta is paying for her flights. Like there are a lot of brands that smartly jumped on the bandwagon, saw what was going on, and she's being monetized
Yeah.
in different ways. I don't know. Obviously, we'll probably never know
I
exactly
wouldn't tell
what
anybody. She
she
should like
fully
keep
got
that.
for that. I know she
What
should
she
just,
got.
yeah, I know exactly. But I mean, I think she did okay. And I think, she's getting benefits. Like you said, you Googled it and you're like, she's on fucking Washington Post. She's on every app. I think the opportunities that come out of this are going to be greater. I know at one point she mentioned she wanted to write a book. That would kill. Everybody would buy that book. So like, it's less about the monetization of the videos themselves and more about the future potential. And a lot of marketers don't think that way. They're like, okay, well, how much am I getting, my RPM for these videos? But I think she has more longevity in what the future brings for her and how she can, reprioritize, use this story in different ways. A podcast, a book, a Netflix series. People have been talking about a Netflix series for a while for her. I mean, she's got a lot of potential there. So if at the most she got 300,000 from that series, which again, I don't know, that's what somebody was just estimating. I think her potential
She
is
said,
huge.
no, I quickly read that story that Rachel just shared. She
Okay.
said that she wasn't in the creator fund at first, then they added her, and then she was
Yeah.
suspended from it for a while.
Okay.
And so,
That's
this,
bullshit.
I want
Yeah.
to I want to say something too though, takeaways, getting back to takeaways. So, most of the marketers probably listening to this and I can vouch for this. And Elizabeth, you recently vouched for this. You might work and you might be responsible for trying to accomplish marketing miracles for a brand where it's like, how do I get that attention? You let's be honest, and Elizabeth's right. You're never going to get that attention unless that perfect storm hits you. But what you can do is I think that this story demonstrates stories matter. People will
yes.
resonate with a
Yes.
human story. And look, even if you're selling X product or X service and someone had a sleepless night because they're like, I freaking don't know what to do and I need something to solve this problem for me. Hammer into that. I know you can tell the
Yes.
story of like, oh my gosh, there's this app. And then when you match this app with that app, they make babies together. It's great. It's like, that's neat, but talk to me about how a human being feels. And if you ever can tap
Yes.
into that, even if you're venturing into sappy, I still think that has potential to hold more sway with a viewer or a reader or a user and all your audience than just, hey, look at this, install this and blah, blah, blah. So that's where I think, like you said, you're not going to replicate this. Maybe you have some kind of brand that could even, that's going to be very few and far between. But if you do have to market something where it's like there is no sexy to this brand, find the humans.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well,
That's what people
That's what
gravitate toward.
hits, as the young folks say
that'll
that.
make you binge. That'll make people binge.
It hit different.
Yeah.
It hit different slaps.
Because I mean, people nowadays are far savvier than I think that we were like 20 years ago. We know when we're being
Oh yeah.
marketed to, and the only way that works and gets that kind of numbers is if they feel that it's a genuine story, that this is a real person. And yeah, there are a lot of companies where who are you going to use? Like, it's tough. I get that. But if you can get that human nature vibe going on, I
Yeah.
mean, as long as, people don't feel like they're being
Yeah.
sold to, because we're all avoiding that right now. It's coming at us from all
Yes.
angles, being sold to. So if we can have a moment where we feel like somebody's just telling us a story,
Agreed.
that changes everything. And that's why storytelling is so important in marketing.
And
Right
in
on.
journalism.
And in journalism.
And in journalism, yes. Obviously in journalism, that's like the
What's
number
your
one.
Tanya? I always like it when one of my favorite things is when you're talking about writing headlines, and
Oh
like,
my gosh.
because I know that's
I struggle with it every single day because you're trying to balance. You want to write enough so that people will click through and read the story. And I say click because, websites and whatnot. But not so much that they don't need to click through because you've told them everything. But also, you don't want to so little that it's clickbaity. And you got to still be authoritative, but also think about SEO so that people can find this story via this headline that gives them just enough that makes them want to click through to the story. It's an art that some people are better at than others, and most of us are struggling. I mean, I don't want to say struggling because maybe not all of us are struggling, but it's an art and
I struggle.
it's a
Something
skill.
I've learned from you is the issue with headlines not sounding how humans
Mhm.
talk. And I've watched you so many times where you shared things with us where it was like, this is not how any human being talks. And so that's part of it too, is feeling relatable. Like, is like, I've literally never heard a human being talk this way, but yeah, by all means, let me click on this article. And I think that's hugely important as well. It needs to sound like I'm having a conversation with a friend and she's like, did you
Right.
know XYZ? And whether or not they're going to click on that. So
I mean,
important.
in the past, headlines were written the way they were written because of space. Like we just needed to
Yeah.
be
Newspaper.
as tell you as much as we could in as little space as possible.
Yeah.
And so you used, curt language, to just get right to it. Man bites dog.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which
Yeah,
man? Where? Where was
right.
the dog? Where's the man?
And now with the, advent of the internet, some 50 years later, you can write a longer headline. However, you still need to think about like where the keywords are placed in the headline. You still can't just wax on poetic in some super long headline because we are all looking at these devices and those things get cut off. So if the story is about dogs, but the first three words are, I don't know, it was a,
Yeah.
the person might click through it to see what the whole rest of it was or whatever. And the other thing is too, you want to deliver on the other side of this click too. Whatever you selling with that headline, it needs to be sold when they click through.
But that's what I was saying earlier. We were talking about attention being
Hmm. Hmm.
expensive. That is true. Like so many dollars can be, put
Yeah.
toward somebody clicking on that link. And so when you waste that potential, like you have to be so careful of that. And that's just because attention's of we have very busy lives nowadays. We have so much media and so much content coming at us that you have literally seconds, you have words, not
Yep.
paragraphs, to get people invested. And that's so true. And that's why are so important and how they're structured are so important, because you have what, maybe 4 words to get a person invested, because attention is
Yep.
expensive.
Right. And that's so funny you would say that because I just got an alert from my reporter and editor or alerted a story. And part of the thing is cut off, but the key word is there.
There you go. Above the fold.
There. And I will be sending them a gotcha alert, good work, strong work.
Strong work.
Because honestly, there's so many places where people can get their news and their information. So why give it to me versus others? And so that's when you're thinking about headlines,
Yeah.
that's the kind of stuff you got to be thinking about. Like, why would people click on this headline about this thing versus the other
Yeah.
people who are writing about this thing?
Mhm.
And ideally, you're writing about something or you're reporting on something that they haven't seen elsewhere. But there are some stories that are more broad. So now, you got to figure out like, well, how can I separate my story from the pack?
Yeah.
So that people will
Yeah.
engage with this story.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't have the stats on this, but it feels real that like for each story, people only click on so many number of stories
Yeah.
about it. So say, it's a story on one thing, maybe somebody will click, because again, we're so busy, we have so much going on. If you click on one link about, that's probably a
Hmm.
lot. Again, that's
Hmm.
apocryphal. I don't know. In my head, that seems like
think
it's
it's right.
right. Where like there's only so many. People aren't going to click on 5 different links about the same story. They're going to one place, and that's where they're getting all their information. And so you're constantly
Mm-hmm.
competing for that
Hmm.
noise, like for that top
Hmm.
spot. And so that's what makes headlines so important.
What should we talk about next?
I actually just had a friend see our podcast and listen to it and ask me what I thought about the Wendy's dynamic pricing. And that was already on my list of things to
Well,
talk about. So maybe we
I
should
don't know
talk
about
about
this. So
it.
tell me about
Me
Wendy's
neither.
dynamic.
Tell. Fill in.
So Wendy's has decided that, like Uber, they're going to start pricing their meals based on what time of day
Oh,
you
surge
go to
pricing
purchase
stuff.
that
Oh,
meal. Dynamic pricing, surge pricing.
yeah.
Yep, exactly. And
What?
besides the fact that, like, first of all, I can't remember the last time I went
Went
to a
one
fucking
yesterday.
Wendy's, but secondly, like, even if as a
While I was there
human
the
who
other
doesn't
day.
want to spend $30 on a fucking like Frosty or
Uh-huh.
whatever, the fact that these companies are deciding, because okay, so my biggest issue with this is there's no way that the employees are also getting surge
Oh,
payments, right?
guaranteed.
And that's my issue. Is like, so these people are going to be working their ass off at the fucking lunch rush and not making another cent yet. You're going to get a junior bacon whatever, and it's going to be $12 as opposed to $5 if you got it at 7 o'clock at night. And so, just for workers' rights, I have an issue with it because I know there's no way they're paying more. Also, it's bad optics in general, right? We talk about groceries being more expensive than they've
Yeah.
ever been. Everything is more expensive than it's ever been. And you're going to surge price your bullshit food? Like,
Yeah.
And then
how
wait,
do
I
you
was
think?
at the Wendy's the other day, so it wasn't. It's
No,
not.
I know, no. But
No.
I get what you mean though, because it's not like you're selling like the freshest of the fresh,
Right.
bougie
Yeah.
food or anything. Let's be honest, because I am. I go get myself a junior bacon cheeseburger and a mini little
Yep.
small chocolate frosty and some fries.
And see,
With
I
my
wasn't thinking about Wendy's, but now that you
now
say
you're
it,
thinking
Wendy's,
about it,
now I
aren't you?
kind of want to. Well, actually, that's what I went to get, and they didn't. I wanted chili with a baked potato because I'm not making chili and I ain't baking no potato, but
See?
I knew that I could get one from there, and that's what I wanted. Anyway, they didn't have it, so there you go.
But I just don't.
How did Wendy's not have a baked potato in chili? That's like,
This was maybe at 9, and they didn't have the baked potatoes.
I have.
Because I'm in there like I'm like Rose Nyland, like I'm like can I get a baked potato with a
with a
with
Sanka.
and a Fresca,
Oh my
please,
I don't understand because it's like, okay,
How will it work? Is there a cap? Like,
yeah,
will it be a
and what
range? Like,
happens?
who caps? Where does it end?
And
Like, I
what
guess.
happens to, okay, my immediate thought, yes, I care about the workers at Wendy's. My immediate thought is, what about all the people who do have to work in person in places and they need to go
Yes.
at lunch hour to go get their food?
Yes.
They can't go to Wendy's now?
I used to work in an office where our closest fast food place was Wendy's. So if you didn't bring in lunch that day and you couldn't like figure out anything else, you were going to Wendy's. So I'm being fucked, I guess.
Are they trying to teach
like
intermittent fasting?
It seems like it's very focused on profits, but it's not taking into consideration their customer. Like this was who
And it's so dumb because if this was something all the fast food companies had gotten together and were starting to do culturally, I could get it. But if you're the only company who's doing that, you've just priced yourself out of the
I think
market.
so too.
How, in what world did this seem like a good idea to anybody? I mean, we talk about this all the time. We're like, there was a whole fucking board of people who sat together and made that choice and was like, yeah,
I
that
wanna
sounds
ask him,
good. And this is one of those
do
situations.
any of you actually go eat at Wendy's? Like, because
Exactly.
maybe
No.
no. I mean, I go there. It is affordable. It's decent
Yeah.
tasting. Again, whatever Elizabeth you might think about it, but
No, I
I'm
don't
just
hate,
kidding.
honestly, I'm gonna give up. I don't hate Wendy's. I'm just saying I can't tell you the last time I was there. I don't have one locally, but I do
I
love
love
Wendy's. Like when
y'all.
I go to Wendy's,
When I
it's
moved
and they had a
to,
strawberry frosty
oh,
last
they
summer that I was
did.
like, "Mwah, mwah, mwah,"
When I
me
moved
and my
to
bougie dog.
I moved to Wisconsin back in when I was 19, and the city I moved to was this little podunk. It's called Appleton, Wisconsin, by the way, if anyone's listening. They have a Wendy's now. When I moved there, they did not have a Wendy's, and I literally almost turned around and went back to Colorado because I was like, that is my restaurant, and I found other restaurants, but that's what I don't get. It feels like I get if they're going to test it. I kind of can predict how this is going to go. I feel. I don't work in restaurants,
We
so
could be proven wrong. You're right. We could be proven wrong, but it just
but
feels like
I
it wasn't a decision
It doesn't feel
made
great
with the
though.
customer in mind.
I guess I'll be going at 2:30 to get my junior bacon cheeseburger. I guess.
That's exactly it.
Hmm.
Like And the thing is, what's going to happen is they're probably trying to keep the rushes from happening at the same time, but all it's going to do is push people up or
That's
back,
what I
like forward
or
or
to
earlier in
another
the day.
restaurant.
And so or to another restaurant, and you're not, yeah. I don't know. In general, even if it works financially, again, I said it earlier, it's bad fucking optics. In a time where people are struggling
Yeah.
to afford their groceries, for you to make sure that it's going to cost more for everyday working people to eat
right.
when they need to eat, when their lunchtime
School kids.
is, it's not a good look.
Dude, I mean, that's lunch hour too for like school kids. There's a Wendy's right near my kids' high
Yeah.
school. I'm sure they get traffic. This is appalling.
Let's just keep an eye and see how this works. How
Yeah,
Oh,
we're
we
gonna
are.
yeah, we're gonna as Rachel Maddow would say, what does she say? Yeah, put a pin in that,
No,
or
my mama. I got that from
like
my
we said it
mama. I
earlier.
didn't get
Your
it
mama
from. I
said
don't
it.
watch Rachel. My mama used to say, "Put a pin in that."
Now,
Very
but like
old,
Tanya
old
said,
black lady stuff.
I want Wendy's now.
No, she
Now
said
I
that,
kinda
and
do
I'm
want
thinking
Wendy's
about that
now.
potato and that chili now. I'm like, I could.
Get the fries and the frosty. I've
No,
never
I
tried
have.
that, but I know
You
it's a
It's
can be sure
okay.
beloved
that I'm
practice.
not doing that. You know
I
that
tried it. I was like, I don't like the cold and the hot. That bothered me.
because those things don't go together.
Yeah.
That's why
That
you
I
didn't like
agree.
that.
Yeah, I was like, if y'all do it, you do you. But no, I want the
The
fries and the
chili goes
ketchup.
on. You can put your chili on your potato.
And the way
The
the
fries do not
Yes,
go in
the
your
junior
sounds
fries.
bacon
good.
cheeseburger is just the right like combination. They got the little bit of mayo, they got the tomato, and
And
the
you get an
bacon.
extra pickle on it. You get some
Oh,
extra.
no, no pickles. No, nay.
No, I
Oh,
need
Heresy.
no
extra pickles. I want
pickles.
Heresy.
extra.
No,
Like
you can
pickle
have
Not
my
it
no
up.
extra
pickles.
pickles.
You can
Pickle
have
it
my
up.
pickles. I'll eat your cake. You can have my pickles.
I just
Oh, that sounded bad too.
do you really but in the end my argument is, do you want to fight fucking McDonald's
Right.
even
Exactly.
more?
Or and dare I say, dare I utter the name Chick-fil-A? Why don't you
Chick-fil-A.
figure out
Yeah.
how to deliver the food more efficiently? Which my son worked at Chick-fil-A for a little bit. He did not work at Wendy's. I have no idea what the pay comparison is, but they figured
I worked
something
at
out.
Wendy's for 4 days. For 4 days.
Did you get food for 4 days?
I don't remember. Here's what I remember about this 4 days of working at Wendy's when I was in college. It was the Wendy's near my college. And initially I was in the back. And because I was taught if you do a job, you do it well, I was immediately promoted to the floor to like, this is when they had salad bar stuff. And I was immediately to
Oh.
the floor to keep that
Mm.
salad bar stocked like on day 3 because I had done so well in the back doing whatever that was I was doing in the back. I do not remember what it was I was doing in the back. So now I'm on the floor in this outfit. This is so privileged what I'm about to say. In this outfit at the Wendy's near my college where college people might see me. And I was like, oh, I am unable to do this. So I left Wendy's that day. I worked my whole shift and I didn't come back. And I remember the manager called and I didn't even quit. And they must not have given me a uniform. I just had to kind of patch something together that was uniformish.
Yeah.
So I didn't even have to do that. And he called because I didn't come to work the next time I was scheduled and was basically like, you were such a good employee. Is there any, like what's, and I was like, I have to, I told some
I got my rep to
story.
think of.
I had no rep. That's the thing. I had no rep. But I was so, and the tone deaf privilegedness of that, that I just thought I was too good to work in this Wendy's.
You were young, dude.
I was obviously not too good to work in the damn Wendy's because I went and got the Wendy's job. I needed the money at the Wendy's. But yeah, I mean, it was not a bad place to work. I don't remember how much I got paid.
Yeah.
I mean, it was 4 days. I may not have even gotten paid for those 4.
I'm just saying.
I guess they had by law paid me, but I don't remember.
Yeah, I feel
Probably
like they
paid
should
you.
have paid you,
They
but
didn't
you
pay
never
you.
know.
Pay up.
Yeah, I'm saying, but I just don't remember what I got paid.
She deserves a free baked potato, just in
It was
case.
not,
Yes,
listen,
absolutely.
Again, it was not a bad,
And her
nothing
Senka.
bad about the working conditions. The manager was a good guy. I just did not want to be on the floor where people
in the outfit
right.
around the college people.
And you talk about your bougie dog.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
I can
don't
believe
even
this.
know. I'm not even sure my parents know that I did that for 4 days.
Well,
Hi, Daddy.
it was
I
a
did
blip.
that for
It
4
was a
days.
blip on the radar.
So now you have the inside scoop with Wendy's. You should tell them this was a bad idea.
Well, I'm watching. I mean, I'm going to be watching, and
I'm going to be watching. You know what? I might eat my words. You never know. But it doesn't seem great. And the sad thing is what's going to happen is if it works even slightly for them,
Then all the
all the other fast food giants are going to follow suit. And then everybody gets fucked. Like, this is the part that I can't, like...
This feels like
I don't
inflation.
know.
This
Like,
is inflation.
it feels like inflation.
That's actually
greedflation. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
It bothers
I guess
me.
because I'm not in their boardroom, obviously, but it doesn't feel like this is a customer focused
Exactly.
No, absolutely
solution
not.
to me.
No.
And also, I wonder if they're like, okay, we got to find a way to make some more profits. Like, costs have gone up, our profits have gone down. Could they not have thinned out the menu? Like, do you need all those things?
Yeah.
Do you need
Yeah,
to offer
I
all
agree
those
with
things
that.
that you're offering? Because ultimately, when I think of Wendy's, I think of the Frosty, again, that the baked potato and the chili, and then the hamburgers. But then, like, they got the chicken, there's some salads and stuff. I never get those things. Like,
Right.
perhaps you
Yeah.
explore pulling back on some of your offerings,
Yeah.
and then maybe you can, hey, I worked at Wendy's for 4 days, so of course I have all the answers. And
So
then
you work
maybe
there.
She's
that helps
OG.
offset, the cost profit issue, if that's the issue.
Something.
If that's the issue.
Yeah.
Well, now we're all wondering because, what I don't want to happen is Uber and Wendy's teaming up where it's like, now you got to go get a surge charge or Uber to get over to Wendy's during their surge time. And it's like,
Oh my God.
I just wanted a damn junior bacon cheeseburger. Ugh.
At a
a
normal
normal-
lunchtime at
Yeah,
12:30.
when
God
everybody
forbid.
takes lunch, but weird.
Yep, exactly.
Well, you know what? I kind of love that the Reesa Teesa things took up most of our time because that stuff felt like a very worthy and fleshed out argument and debate. So that was really good. Not even debate, we were discussing it. But I learned 2 things today. I had no idea about Reesa Teesa, and I didn't know about Wendy's. I symbolize everyone who's like, I had no idea.
I spend too much time on TikTok.
No,
Welcome.
but like I
That's my
like
problem.
it because like I said, you're going to bring this stuff every week. So just to tease out, next week, we're going to talk finally about the Trump $400 sneakers. We've got to do it. I believe we're going to try to talk about the AT&T outage. So those of you who use AT&T, get ready. We'll be here to probably vent about that. And we'll catch up with Elizabeth's Unemployed Deadbeat Corner. But speaking of which, let's wrap this up with Elizabeth. Where can people find and follow you online so as they can hire you and pay you all the money so you can afford Wendy's surge pricing?
I want that junior bacon cheeseburger, so please follow me at Elizabeth Allen 1001 at LinkedIn.
Excellent.
I'm there and posting not very much, but you can find me there.
Awesome. And then Tanya, where do we find you?
TDoubleb, TDOUBLEB, double B, TDoubleb.
And you can find me. I'm Rachel Has the Mic, MIC. And Rachel in the biblical sense, Rachel spelled like the biblical Rachel, RACHEL. There is no other extra letter in there. Rachel Has the Mic, MIC, pretty much anywhere. And you have been listening to Just Trust Me, the podcast, the marketing podcast. This is our 3rd episode, y'all, and we're in store for way more. And thank you all for listening and downloading and reviewing us. Okay. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
That's a wrap for this episode of the Just Trust Me Marketing Podcast. Show notes are prepared by Elizabeth Allen, podcast production and publishing by me, Rachel Moore. We're still new to the feed, so if you happen to like this episode, we trust you to leave us a review to let other listeners know they can trust us for a great podcast experience. We're on TikTok, Instagram, and Threads at Just Trust Me Podcast. Show notes and podcast episodes live on www.butwaitthere'smore.com. And hey, did you notice that this episode had no ad breaks? If that's your cup of tea, all ad-free episodes of Just Trust Me are available on Patreon. But wait, before you head to Wendy's for your chili and baked potato, tap subscribe or follow so you can catch every new episode that's just as delicious as a seasonal strawberry frosty. Trust me.